Warning. Listening to this show may result in increased levels of inspiration, motivation, and innovation. Side effects can include the immediate urge to take massive action to build a better business and life for yourself and others. You've been warned. Welcome to Influencers Radio with your host, Jack Mize.
And welcome back to another episode of Influencers Radio. You know, being an entrepreneur can be one of the toughest challenges a person can face, but it can also be one of the most rewarding. But, you know, creating and maintaining a profitable business can be overwhelming and stressful. And for a lot of entrepreneurs, you know, they focus so much on where the money is coming from, but lose sight of where their money is going and why they even started their business to begin with. Well, my guest today has been there. She's been to the other side, and she has brought back a map. My guest is Dawnette Palmore. She is the founder and owner of Proverbs Financial Coaching, where she empowers professional and entrepreneurial women who make great money, but they just don't know where it goes. And she helps them to gain control of their finances without sacrificing their lifestyle so they can live a financially stress-free life. Dawnette is committed to helping women to thrive in their business and life instead of just surviving. So with that, Dawnette, welcome to Influencers Radio.
Thank you, Jack. It's so great to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, I really like having people on the show that has their own battle scars. And you certainly have your own battle scars. And I think it makes it, makes it that much more valuable to learn from you and to get guidance from you. So what I like to do is kind of kick off the show by asking you about what brought you to becoming a financial coach. And really, let's talk about and dig into some of those scars, because I know you're open to talking about those. And I think a lot of people can benefit from that. So let's just kick it off there.
Yeah. Okay. So our scars, yes, lots of scars. I feel like our scars are not really for us, but they're for others, right? We learn through our scars and our mistakes so that we can help empower other people. And so my money mistakes, oh my gosh, we could talk about that for a long time, but I've been a business owner for over 20 years. I was running my house, homeschooling my kids, being all these things I needed to be, but I was not managing my finances. We were commingling our business and personal finances. We viewed our business as a bank account. We're just there to draw money out, not really having a plan with it, not saving any money, making $500,000 a year, and we are just broke every month. It was so ridiculous. And there was a lot of shame in that and a lot of guilt. Because I know that I needed to be doing better with my money and I could do better. I just didn't know how. And I felt so overwhelmed already with what I had on my plate. How was I going to do all these other things? And so I began to research, how can I do these other things? And I started taking it one step at a time, one goal at a time. And creating those steps made it so easy and refreshing. And it just brought a lot of peace with my finances. I was able to change this relationship I had with money. So it was no longer controlling my life and telling me what I could and couldn't do. But now I was controlling it, and I was telling it where it was going to go and what it was going to do.
I know that resonates with so many people because it's something that I think a lot of people don't talk about, the business owners, because there's so many business owners that, like you said, just like you, they're making quite a bit of money, on paper, the money that's coming in, but they have such little latitude or the money comes in, but the money goes out. But they are making so much money that it's kind of tough for them to talk about because, who's going to pity someone that's bringing in, $500,000? a year, right? And so, it's a problem that a lot of them, feel that, well, no, it's just something that I got to deal with, but it just seems like it just gets in this habitual cycle, right? Every month of, well, here's what I brought in, but here's what I spent. So I think really what I think people want to know is, what did you do to break that cycle?
Well, one of the first things I did was I decided that I wasn't going to live that way anymore. And I think that's where it really starts, is that we have to say that we're not going to live that way anymore. And then know that we have the power to change it. And not be ashamed of it, but find somebody that can help us. Who can help me figure this out? Because I don't know what to do. I'm busy doing these other things. And, finances can get messy and technical. And you think about finances and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I have to have 500 spreadsheets. Like, I can't do this. Nobody wants to look at spreadsheets all day and spend hours on their finances. So the first thing is that we have to decide.
Well, and I think there's probably a lot of people that feel, when you brought up that word shame, I think that's the concept that I was trying to verbalize earlier. That the shame probably keeps people from looking for a solution, because they think, like I said before, like I got $500,000 coming in, and I can't make this work. So it's not like, well, you have a business and you're not generating sales, right? You're generating the money. It's just what's happening to it. And I think a lot of people, the first thing that they think of, and I'm sure probably the advice that they get if they do bring it up to somebody, oh, well, you need a budget. And I know one of the things that you're very big on is being what you call being vision focused rather than budget focus. And I know that you say that, that's what allowed you to get out of your debt and start actually saving and investing. So let's define that. So first of all, I think when a lot of people say budget, it's a common word, but it seems to mean very different things to different people. Some people, it's just a list of stuff to worry about each month. Or it's, this is what I can spend. And then there's some people that I think define their budget. They do it backwards. It's like they shoot the arrow, pay the money, and then paint the bullseye around it afterwards, which is much different than I think the concept of a budget. So let's get into that. What is a budget? Let's define what you mean by being budget focused.
So a budget, like you said, can be a dirty word, right? People hate hearing that word. It means that to them, it means they can't do something they love. They're going to be restricted. It's going to tell me no. But really, when we're doing it properly, a budget is just a plan. It's just a plan with our money. This is our income. This is what we want to do with our money. And now we're going to do it. And when you look at it as a plan instead of a restriction, it changes everything. I say it gives us freedom, but it also gives us boundaries. The boundaries that we set, not that anybody else has set for us, but we have the freedom to do the things we want to do with our money. And here's the boundary we set so that we can also do the things later in our life, our investing, and, maybe we're saving up to buy a home or purchase another business or whatever it might be.
So what do you say to the person? So when you set these boundaries, here's, the money that is coming in. This is the predictable income that my business generates. Where do you start, especially when somebody says, I know, but it just goes every month. Everything that comes in goes. I don't have, any leeway on these boundaries. There's no room. I think that's what a lot of people feel when they feel restricted. So how do you start with that? What does that look like when you say, okay, here's what I'm going to start setting up a plan?
So one is to become aware of what you're doing. How do we become aware? Well, we look at those things called bank statements, because the numbers don't lie, right? That's going to tell us exactly where all of our money is going. When we find out what we're doing with our money, we can make adjustments. How much money do you want to spend in every category? And what are some things you want your money spent on? Maybe you don't realize it, but you're spending $500 to $700 a month eating out. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but maybe you want to do something else. And you feel like you don't have the money to do it. In reality, you just need to look at where your money's going so that you can make the adjustments needed to move to the next level, the next goal.
It reminds me of an old saying, what gets measured gets managed. And I guess that's a problem a lot of people do. They just spend each month and then see, do I have anything left afterwards? So do you categorize things on, here's what I have to spend each month? So like if I go through those bank statements, do you see, well, this is the stuff that, I guess would be, fixed cost, this is the stuff that has to be spent. And then you figure out the stuff that you're spending that maybe could be, divided up into different ways, or maybe filtered somewhere else, because there's got to be a point where some people think that, well, I have to spend everything I'm spending. Do you find that people, once they actually do go and look through those bank statements and decide to make a plan, that they realize that, okay, well, maybe I don't have to be spending all this that I thought I had to be spending?
Right. So we definitely want to give every dollar a job, because if we don't give every dollar a job, it's going to disappear. So going through the budget, this plan, the spending plan, whatever is comfortable for you to call it. Yes, we have our fixed costs. We can't get out of rent, mortgage, utilities. Those are just, things that we have to pay for every month. Those are our basic living expenses. But what if we took it a step further and then thought about the next thing? What do we spend throughout the year that isn't every month? We have birthdays, we have holidays, events, memberships, insurances that could be due maybe, once a year or twice a year, depending on however you have that set up. And then you divide that by 12 and put it in your budget as a line item. And you're saving that up through the year. So when it comes up, it's not an issue. Oh, okay, I'll pay it. When we find out exactly, I always say, find out what it costs you to be you. Then you know what you have left to work with, so that you could say, okay, I have all these things that I spend money on throughout the year added up here, and I have $1,000 left over every month. Now, over here, I have these goals, this list of goals I have. How can I fit the next goal in here? How can I get to that goal? How can I allocate this money to go where I want it to go?
And then I guess it's just a matter of kind of following along with what you set out. So that makes sense a lot. So a lot of people know holidays are coming up. I know that this is how much I spend, so I need to, instead of dealing with that the month before, I could be dealing that throughout the year, but at a much less stressful level. Would that be accurate?
Exactly.
Well, you know what? My next question was going to be, you're a financial coach, and to figure out what the difference between a financial coach versus what I think people more commonly know as a financial advisor. But just what you've talked about so far, I can see how drastically different it is. Because in my experience with financial advisors, they say, okay, how much do you have to invest, and let's go figure out where to invest it. But it seems like you go much, much deeper. It's almost like you're preparing people to the point where they might need a financial advisor. But can you kind of go through that difference between what you do as financial coaching versus a financial advisor?
Yes, absolutely. So yes, we know that an advisor helps us with our money basically for retirement, right? For our next phase in life. A financial coach helps you with your money in this phase of life. So we help you to understand your emotional relationship with money. your behavior with money and show you how to change those behaviors to match with your goals and values. A coach helps you get from where you are to where you want to be. So I don't sell any kind of financial products or insurances. I am just there to help you execute what you want. It's not about what I want. It's about what you want. What do you value? What are you trying to accomplish? And let's see how we can get you there. And we also hold you accountable for it. So we're there to, say, hey, this isn't what you said you wanted to do. Do you need to make some adjustments, or how do you think this is going to move you forward to your goal or move you away from your goal? So really discussing and getting this outside view of your money and the decisions you're making, and helping you with this transformation that you are trying to get.
Well, it certainly does sound like a transformation, and I can see where the stress levels can go down tremendously by putting this kind of plan in place. Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, because they're not prepared or they don't have a plan, and some expenditure comes up, their only solution is I got to go sell something more. I got to sell something more. And I'm starting to see what you mean by being, focused on the next sale versus, the focus of the vision of what your business, what you wanted your business to be. Because if that's the only solution, to go out and sell more, scrubbing harder only does so much. There comes a point where you just can't do that. So would you say that it's more about helping be prepared? Because I can imagine there's far more peace of mind when people feel they're prepared for maybe some financial surprises than just having to be reactionary to them when they pop up. Is that part of kind of the process, is to plan for maybe some unexpected expenses, and have something available, so it's not, you don't have to just all of a sudden shift gears into, okay, I better sell more?
Right. Yes, exactly. Planning for the expected and the unexpected, because we have them both in our personal and our business life. So putting that in the plan, how do we do that? Well, we got to save our money. And it's not going to be all at once. We can't save it all at once, but when we save it in little increments, we could still flow through the rest of our monthly items that we need to pay for, or things that come up. Really, it is about planning. And that is the key, is a plan and executing on the plan. Putting those things in there. We need to be prepared. Let's say grandma always called it save for a rainy day, right? Because a rainy day is coming. It's coming. And that's just part of life. So how can we prepare that? It's not going to be fun going through it, but at least you can have this peace of mind going through it, like, okay, the car broke down. It's $2,000 to fix it. Oh, I have this emergency fund. I can just write the check for it. Great. Let's write the check, fix the car, and move on. Not, oh my gosh, where am I going to get $2,000? Oh, I got to apply for a credit card. I got to do this. Oh, I'm not going to be able to pay this. It just totally changes your mindset and your perspective and the way that you're able to deal with emergencies and life.
Yeah. And I think that's, a lot of people have a hard time getting their head around that, because to me, it seems like the biggest obstacle is getting past, but I don't have any extra money. Everything that comes in gets spent. And, circle back around, right, when we talk about budgets, I know there's some businesses that, they say they have a budget, but really what they have is a list of their bills. And let's go back and, see what I spent last month. There's my budget. I'm sure you have some different thoughts on that.
Yeah, so that's more tracking, right? We can go look and see what we've done, but what we've done doesn't help us now because it's over. We've done it. Now what? We're going to do it again. how can we change that? And that's really, I get it. You said people feel like they don't have any, we have more month at the end of our money, right? It's week 3 and we're broke. We still got a whole nother week before the next check comes in or the next sale, or however it is you get paid. But when we sit down and we look at where our money's going and we say, okay, let's make a plan of where we want it to go. We have these bills. You get a raise when you just do this stuff. I don't even know how to explain it because we're not doing, I would say, wasteful spending or overspending. You are now in control of your money and you realize, oh, I do have money left over. And I run this with my clients all the time. We're running through, how much they bring in and where it's going or where they think it's going. And I'm like, okay, well, it says you should have about $500 left over. And they're like, well, I don't. And I'm like, okay, well, let's go look at the bank statements and see where is all that money going? Where is that $500 going? And once you figure it out, you're like, oh, wow, I didn't know I was spending that much on that particular thing. That's not what I want to do. And you got to make the changes. You're in control of your money. You just have to realize it.
So let's say somebody's saying right now, okay, Dawnette, I see what you're talking about. And I think, yes, there's possible that this could be happening to me. All right. And I at least wanted to, get started or just get a snapshot of what's going on. What are some things that people can do like today, like right now, to get on track with their finances? It sounds like a big part of where some of the stress and overwhelm comes from is that people are kind of commingling their business, just like you talked about how you did it, that their business is their personal bank account. So what are some things that people can do today to at least start shifting in the right direction?
That's a great question. So the number one thing, which I keep saying, is to become aware. Become aware of what you're doing. Pay attention to where your money is going. Look back at those bank statements. As painful as it may be, just look at them. In order to move forward, you need to be looking at them so you can see what you're doing with your money. Where is it all going? And are you okay with that? Where can you make the changes? Where can you make adjustments? And then get on a plan.
It sounds like just understanding where that money's going is probably one of the biggest pieces of that. That's probably eye-opening to a lot of people. Do you find that?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I had a client, I was like, do you realize you're spending, $1,000 a month eating out? And he was like, he almost fell out of his chair. He was like, what? Are you kidding me? And I'm like, no, and he's like, wow, well, that's why I can't save. So he made the choice to stop spending that much money. Did he stop eating out? No. But he cut back. He's like, wow, I didn't realize I was spending that much. That's not what I want to be spending my money on. Here is the amount each month I want to spend it on. I think it was like $200 or $300, and he never went over it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It is just by knowing. And I can imagine that these are mistakes that so many people make. So I know we've covered probably quite a few of them. So, even if you need to circle back around, I think I need to ask, what do you see as the biggest mistakes that you see, entrepreneurs and small business owners make? And I say entrepreneurs and small business owners because, it's just a different dynamic from people that say you have a corporate job and they know this paycheck, it's much more structured and controlled and allocated. It's definitely more of a free for all when you're a business owner. So what do you see some of those biggest mistakes that they make and the best way to correct them?
One of the biggest mistakes I see is that they do not run their business like a business. Like I said earlier, they run it like a bank account, right? I just need to make money so I can get these bills so that I can do this, I can do that. But you really need to be running it as a business. You need to be drawing your salary out of it and let your business be a business and you be you. That is like the biggest mistake. And stop commingling those expenses. You will save a ton of money. When I stopped doing this, I don't even know how much money I saved. I see when we're saying, okay, this is a business expense, I could write it off. We just buy things that we don't really need because we think we can write it off. But when we stop and we focus on, okay, what does my business need to run? What do I need so that I'm personally okay? And where am I trying to take this business? And how am I going to get there? And refocusing on that.
To do that, I guess, is it a matter of, setting up different bank accounts for different, allocations of money? Because I think a lot of people get in trouble when they try to keep this stuff separated in their head or very loosely. So tactically, what does that look like for some people?
Yes. So you want to have different accounts. So we have our business account, our checking account, where we're, paying our bills out of, paying whatever it is that our employees or ourselves or whatever. And then we have an account for what I call short-term savings, because even in our business, we have things throughout the year that don't come up every month. We have association dues, memberships, licensing fees, or whatever it is that your business needs, and it only maybe comes up once a year, a couple times a year. You need to be putting a line item in your budget every month for that and setting aside in your short-term savings so that it's there when that comes up. Your business also needs an emergency fund because things happen in business. Maybe you're going to have a slow month. Maybe you lost an employee. Something breaks. Anything could happen in business as well. So you need to have those separate accounts. Same thing with your personal. The short-term savings, like we talked about earlier, those holidays and birthdays and all those things we spend money on throughout the year, and of course, an emergency fund.
Well, and I think, a lot of people, they understand intuitively, well, that's what I should be doing, and something just prevents them from doing that. And do you think it's just, they think they don't have time, they don't know where to begin? I can imagine that's where a financial coach could come in and be tremendously helpful in doing that.
Right.
So I guess I'd have to ask you, if you don't mind sharing, let's say somebody says, Dawnette, this sounds like something I need. What does that look like if someone was to get involved and engage you? What does it look like? How does that get started, and what can they expect? Because again, people may have that shame factor. Oh, I can't show anybody this. I can't, let everybody see what a mess I've got this in. But it sounds like, I think what you've shared today, shows that you're not only compassion, but empathy. And the fact that you've been there, I think probably will alleviate a lot of people's fear or shame when it comes to asking for help. So if someone was ready to ask for help, what would that look like to get that started?
So basically we have a little conversation over 30 minutes. We find out what it is that you're trying to accomplish, what coaching looks like with me, and how I can get you to where you want to go. You don't have to go any further than that. So it's a no obligation conversation, and it's just a conversation.
And so from there, I guess I'm sure a lot of people's eyes are opened to what the possibilities can be, because, I'd like to touch back on when you figured this out with the mistakes that you were making. You not only, figured out, okay, how to, manage things and make it less stressful. You actually got out of debt that you had kind of dug yourself in, and and able to save and invest for the future. And a lot of people think that, well, to do that, boy, I better cut out the Netflix. I better I'm going to eat peanut butter sandwiches and and listen to the radio. That there's going to be a lot of they're going to have to deprive themselves of a lot of things. Is that something that is kind of a misconception?
Yes, absolutely. Having a plan with your money is not about cutting everything out that we enjoy. And you're right. A lot of, other people have said, you got to cut everything out. You have to stick to this budget. You can't do anything else. Don't have fun. And I really disagree with this type of thinking. We can save for our future, pay our bills, and do the things we enjoy. It's really about finding a balance and focusing on what we're trying to accomplish.
Well, I can tell you that I'm sure that, someone listening to this, you brought in a ray of hope. And like I said at the beginning, it's a lot of people would think, oh, well, that's a high class problem. You don't know how to manage your $500,000 revenue, but it is something that cripples a lot of people, psychologically and keeps them from growing, and it makes them not like the business that they started, that they had these big goals for. So I think what I'd like to do is circle back around to what we talked about, the difference between that, having to focus on your next sale to cover an expense that came up, to being vision focused, like you say, about your business. So can you just elaborate on that a little bit more so people can, get an idea of what they have to look forward to in that the business, the whole reason they started the business, can be renewed, and they can get that feeling and that passion back. So kind of elaborate on that, being vision focused, so they don't have to be focused there on that next sale.
Right. So vision focused. It's really about what is it that you're trying to create in this world? What is it that you're trying to create in your business, with your family, and focusing on those? Because things get hard. This journey has not been easy all the time. It's taken work. And, we get those as entrepreneurs, we get that shiny object syndrome, right? Or the squirrels, and we want to do this or that. But when we go, okay, is this in line with what I'm trying to do? Yes or no? If it's not, then it's a no-go. We don't do it. We don't look at it. Everybody's vision is different, right? It could be financial freedom. What is it that you picture your perfect life? And how can we get you there? So we're living life on our own terms, so that we're not having to worry about money, and we're putting it in places and spending on the things that matter most to us, not being a slave to that next sale or closing or client.
Yeah. And I think, doing this probably lights a fire under people that hasn't been there in a while, because it just can get you bogged down. And I think anyone that's, does have revenue coming in the numbers that you're talking about, can remember when they were bootstrapping it and they just made things work, and a lot of times it's that passion that does this. So would you say that doing this and taking control of your finances is much about kind of reigniting the passion that you had in your business that allows people to go above and beyond what average people do, to make their business successful, versus just toiling away day to day, trying to survive? Because I think, listening to you, I understand, now when you talk about how you're helping women to thrive in their business and life instead of just surviving. Does when people see the possibility, the potential of this, does it seem to reignite the fire and the passion they had for their business when they first started it?
Absolutely. And it opens up so much more when you're not bogged down by the thought of, how much money do I got to make this month? I need to go chase this. I need to go chase that. You just have this peace. And like you said, this passion now has come back. Now you can remember, oh, this is why I began this. This is why I made all those, like you said, sacrifices. This is why I made it work. And now let's just focus back on that passion, that vision.
Well, Dawnette, I got to say that I think you've given a lot of people, you've renewed hope in a lot of people that they can get that back. And there is a light, and there is a way to make this work when, a lot of people just get blinded by what they have going on day to day and lose sight of that. So I want to thank you for coming on and sharing this and giving people that hope again. How can people find out more about Dawnette Palmore and how to get involved with Proverbs Financial Coaching if they see this as an opportunity for them to turn things around?
Right. So they can go to my Instagram. My handle is at Proverbs Financial Coaching. I have a lot of tips I give there as well. You can go to my website, which is www.proverbsfinancialcoaching.com. You can schedule a call there and we can talk and see if we're a good fit for each other.
Well, I think, a lot of people will see this as something that they didn't know existed. Because personally, I didn't, I always knew about financial advisors, but what you do is unique, and it helps people that feel that they're not at a point to even begin to need to talk to a financial advisor, but to help them get in the position to be able to do that. And I think it's also as important that you are a person that has been there. You've been to the other side. You've figured it out, and you're bringing back a map for people to be able to follow and to be successful. So I certainly commend you on that, and want to thank you for coming on and sharing this with us today.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure and an honor to be here.
All right, folks, there you have it. Definitely check out proverbsfinancialcoaching.com. We'll have the link there on the show post, along with ways for you to be able to connect with Dawnette through social media. It's definitely, if you are in a place that you thought you were alone and you thought that, you managed to screw up something good because you have the money coming in, but you're just not sure where it's going, and it's not fulfilling what you thought you would have when you started your business, then, I'd strongly suggest to at least have that conversation with Dawnette. So until next time on Influencers Radio, remember, you are the only real game changer.
You've been listening to Influencers Radio. To get all past shows and updates on future shows, visit influencersradio.com today.